Okay, so now we are going to talk about order of operations. We've done a lot of formatting, a lot of moving data around and things like that, but we still really haven't been utilizing what Excel, can really do. So sort of the main meat of it. So this is kind of the first step is understanding the order of operations that Excel is going to use when we input formulas, to make calculations and things like that. So first off, we're going to cover kind of just the symbols that are used in a formula. How Excel knows really what you're trying to tell it. So first off, we use parentheses, and we'll explain, and I'll explain just a little bit what they're used for. But parentheses just basically help us group our formulas together so we can make more sense of the information, especially so Excel knows what we're doing. Now exponents, this is this little caret here. You can find this. It's the number 6 on your keypad. If you hold Shift 6, it's going to give you this little caret. And this is an exponent, and that's just square something to the square root. Squaring something. You can put it to the third power, fourth power, however many powers you want to put something. You just put that little caret in front of that number, and that's raising it to whatever power whatever you follow after that. That's raising it to the second power. This would be third. Or third, you can do 30, 40, whatever it is. We use that symbol for that. Now division is just the backslash, and that's found on your question mark key. Just shift or shift. I can't remember if it's shift. No, it's not shift. you just hit your question mark key, and it should have that. That's obviously just basic division. Multiplication is the star symbol, which can be found on the number 8. If you hold down shift and hit number 8, then you get the star key, and that's just representing multiplication. Then addition and subtraction, these are the basic symbols that are normally found in most math classes, whatever you're taking. And though those are found, kind of if you have a 10 key, they'll be found in some different positions. Mine's just to the left of my backspace key here on my keyboard. And so when you use these symbols, Excel is going to know, this means square root. This means, you're going to divide something, multiplication. So we just got to make sure we're using that consistently. Otherwise, Excel has no idea what we're trying to tell it to do. Now, with these symbols, we need to follow what's called the order of operations. Now, Excel has an exact way that it calculates each function, and it does it in this order from top to bottom. It's going to this is basically the priority that it's taking. First, it's going to look at everything in parentheses and do that first. Then it's going to do exponents, and then division and multiplication are kind of one and the same. It kind of uses it as the same value, and it doesn't really affect what order those are done in. So those can be done simultaneously. That's why I have them the same color here. And then after that, there's addition and subtraction, and same story there with division and multiplication. Addition and subtraction can just be done simultaneously, but it does need to be in this order overall. So we have parentheses, then exponents, division, multiplication, then addition and subtraction. Now that can kind of seem confusing, but it's really not that bad when you see it. So what I have here is a formula, just a basic formula, and one is using parentheses and things like that, and the other one's not. And this is just to prove the point of why order of operations is so important. So let's say I start out with this formula here. I have 2 times 1 plus 3. Now if you're thinking of that, what's the answer going to be? You can take some time to calculate that in your head, and really without the parentheses, there's two different ways that you can calculate this. You can say, well, first I'm going to add 1 and 3 and get 4, and then I'm going to multiply that by 2, and that gives me the value of 8 for the solution to this formula. But what if I first multiplied 2 and 1, which would give me 2, and then I added 3 to that, which would give me a value of 5 for the solution? So what is it? Is it 5 or is it 8? And that's why the order of operations and using parentheses is so important, because the way Excel is going to see that is just start, because there's no parentheses. It's going to look at this formula, say, okay, there's no parentheses, cross that off. Look at this, okay, there's no exponents, cross that off. Now let's run into division and multiplication. Okay, there's a multiplication symbol right here, so I'm going to multiply 2 and 1. And now it's going to add and subtract, so I have 2 times 1, which is 2, and then I'm going to add 3 to it, giving me a value of 5. the solution right there already. You can see I've actually inputted this formula in Excel. Well, we'll talk about how to do this later. And that's how Excel has calculated it, is giving me the value of 5 here. Now, what if I put parentheses in there? If I follow this order of operations, Excel's going to see, hey, there's something in parentheses here. That means I'm going to take care of everything within those parentheses first. So it finds these parentheses and it's going to say, okay, let's add 1 and 3 together, and that gives me 4. It's going to look, okay, no exponents, we skip that step. Division and multiplication, okay, now I'm going to multiply whatever I already did in here, which we came up with the value of 4, times 2. And then, there's no additional, anything past that multiplication. So really we have 4 times 2, which is going to give us the value of 8. And you see right here, that's exactly how Excel calculated it. So this can get, looking at those are some pretty basic examples, but what happens when you run into a formula that's like this? Okay, I have multiple sets of parentheses. And this is where it can get a little bit complicated. Basically, Excel is going to work inward and then go out. So if you see here, I have this set of parentheses here, but then I also have this whole set of parentheses that encompasses everything. So basically, Excel is just going to start on the inside, first calculate that. Again, parentheses take top priority, so it's going to look at these parentheses, then do everything within those parentheses. And everything within those parentheses still follows this order of operations. So if I had exponents within here, then it's going to first do the exponents, then divide and add and subtract after that. But I only have addition here, so it looks at these parentheses, adds these numbers here, which would give me 3. And now what's the next step? I've done these parentheses, and now I'm going to kind of step out of these parentheses, and I'm still in parentheses. So I got to stay within these parentheses during my calculation here. So you see we actually have an exponent here, so that's going to be the next thing that we do. So I have 3 raised to the 2 here, which is going to give me 9. And then I'm still not done with everything in all these parentheses. We have this addition. So 9 plus 1, and that's going to give me 10. So basically, Excel has calculated everything within all these parentheses and gotten 10. And now again, we're still following the order of operations. We've moved outside of this parenthesis. There's none left. And so parentheses is checked off. Now, are there any exponents? Well, no. We go to multiplication, okay, so I have 10 times 2, which is going to give me 20. Then we move on to our addition, plus 2, 20 plus 2 is 22. And we see here that's exactly how Excel has calculated it. We have the same formula right here, and that's how they do it. Oops. So it's just really important that we understand order of operations as we build our formulas, because we don't want to, get things confused, because Excel is going to calculate it regardless. We just want to make sure that it's calculated it the way that we want it to. So usually, more than not, I use parentheses just to be safe, just to group things together, so I can get everything in order and make sure that, hey, just telling Excel, take care of this first, do all these calculations, then do all of these calculations, and then we can multiply those parentheses together. So it's a little bit mathy, but don't worry, because Excel really, in all honesty, we're not building formulas so much like this. There's a lot of pre-built functions and things like that Excel's already done a lot of this work for you. So we don't have to figure out every single formula, but sometimes you may have to, come up with some long string formula where you're adding a few things together and whatnot. And instead of actual numbers, we usually use cell references, but we'll get into all that later. So don't be scared of the math here. It's pretty simple, and if you ever are wondering what how did Excel come up with that answer, it's calculating it wrong. Well, it's not calculating it wrong, it's just doing it differently than you want it to. So usually my best advice is just really think of basic formulas like this and just follow through these steps: parentheses, exponents, division, multiplication, then addition and subtraction. So kind of, you can just do this little acronym here, PEDMAS, PEDMAS, and that's just an easy way to remember it, if in case you have trouble remembering.